Hey there, welcome to this special edition of the Bold Goal Crusher New Year's Party. My name is Erica Castner, and I am your host for this very special session on how to help you monetize your message in 2023. And just beyond messaging or monetizing your message, how can we make a bigger impact with the things that you're doing to elevate what your sole purpose is in your expertise? So there's going to be a lot of information that I'll share with you today. Some of it you may already know. I want you to be fully present with the fact that some of this is not going to be brand new information, but I do want you to understand that if you're listening into it today, you're hearing it, it means that you need to be paying attention on some level. There is a reason why you're receiving this message again. So don't go to the I know that mode. Go into the what is this information really meant for me? Why is it meant for me right now? What do I need to do with this information in order to fully understand it, fully immerse myself into it, and take action with it? So with that said, you might be here today in terms of listening to this message. And the reason why you want to dial into this message is because you have massive goals to generate more referrals for your business. If that is you, you're going to want to stick around for today's presentation. You might also be here today because you want to boost your in-person and online presence. So perhaps maybe you have your situation in the in-person space down pat, but you need to elevate your online presence, or vice versa. Maybe you are killing it right now in the online world, but you want to have more one-on-one interactions. And when I say one-on-one interactions, don't immediately go to the fact that that's not scalable. There is plenty of ways that we can leverage one-on-one conversations that hopefully some of this conversation data will give you some insight on how you can do that. Also, you might be here because you want to make a massive impact with your work beyond your backyard. So perhaps maybe you are in that space right now where you have built some amazing relationships in your local market, but now it's time to dive into what it looks like regionally, nationally, globally. And so if that is aspirationally on your list for the upcoming new year, you're in the right spot, my friend. So I'm here today because, well, Sarah and I are good friends. And so I'm very grateful for our friendship. She's been a guest on my podcast, the Voices of Impact podcast. I've been a guest on her podcast, which she is crushing it right now. I'm so proud of her and all her endeavors with her podcast and everything else that she touches. But I also happen to have over 2 decades of experience in helping business owners elevate their presence. And I worked with nationally recognized brands like Dillard's, Lancome Cosmetics, Hertz Corporation, Remax, Northwestern Mutual. I've covered the gamut as it relates to whether it's product-based or service-based businesses. I've been able to help strategically align what they're doing in their market space to elevate their impact with their brands. I also happen to be here because I love working with small businesses, entrepreneurs. It is in my heart of hearts to ensure that that entrepreneurs, anybody that's wanting to make a difference in a massive way, that they're getting in front of the people that they are meant to serve. So many of those entrepreneurs, business owners like yourself, will have a tendency to know like they know their expertise. But the challenge is, how do they take that expertise and put it out there in a way that is going to reach their ideal customer? And that's where I love to help people think about it, strategize about it, and implement some of these things that we'll talk about in here today. So there's lots of ways that you, my friend, can monetize your message. You might already be doing that. You might be doing some paid speaking opportunities. You might be speaking for free with the anticipation that you're going to then turn around and make an offer at the end of that presentation to an audience. You might also have your own books, your courses, done for you services. There's lots of ways that you're currently monetizing what you're doing to make a massive impact. Today, I want to talk about it from the lens of how can we leverage other people's stuff to build massive impact without having to max out our marketing budget. And so if you can get behind that strategy today, or if you can get behind some of these key principles I'm sharing today, as you are going to think about what you have to offer, and then who else already has an audience of people that need what you offer, then we're going to have a lot of fun today. So there's 5 key principles that I want you to think about as it relates to monetizing your message. Now, I've given you like what you might be already doing. But again, we're going to really lay this down in the sense of how do we strategically align what we're already doing to other people's endeavors, other people's speaking opportunities, conferences, workshops, podcasts, summits, like what you're watching right now. How do we take what we're already doing and partner with other people so we can really get behind growing that impact in a massive way? And not only that, but we're letting other people vouch for us. We're letting other people say, hey, you're the cat's meow and whatever it is that you do. And there's a lot of value to that. When you say that you're awesome, what are you? You're a salesperson, right? But now Sarah invited me onto her summit today. In some way, shape, or form, Sarah is edifying the work that I do because Sarah's not going to have a toad on her summit, right? I mean, you're not going to have somebody that is not credible on the things that you do. And so when you do that, when you align with other people in this way, you are building it's sending this subliminal message to the audience that you're who you say you are, that you're a credible resource, that you're somebody that people should be paying attention to. And so when we think about all these ideas that I'm going to share with you today, I want to hearken you to think about, you don't have to do all of them, but think about the one or two that you're going to start implementing on a consistent basis over this next year so that you can be in that position to not only boost sales, but you can also start elevating the impact that you're making with your brand beyond where you're at right now. Okay. So I talked about some of the ways that you can monetize and what you're already doing to monetize, but here's some other things that you could be doing right now too. And you probably are doing some of these things, but I just want to give you a high level view of where you could be finding some of these collaborations and partnerships. So right now, are you taking advantage of the associations that you belong to? Perhaps maybe you are a member of your local chamber of commerce. Maybe there's some sort of industry association you're a part of, a gender specific or like some sort of crew or club or group of people that you have some sort of affinity to. Are you leveraging all the opportunities within that association to help you shine? Are you getting behind speaking opportunities, whether they're panel discussions, in-person conferences, workshops, summits like this, virtual speaking opportunities? Are you taking advantage of putting yourself out there on different stages, whether they're in-person and virtual? And while we're talking about virtual stages, are you taking advantage of podcast guest interviews, media publication interviews, live stream and like or Instagram lives, LinkedIn lives, even Facebook lives, YouTube shorts, doing videos, something along those lines to really position your message out there in a more memorable and compelling way. Obviously, I talked about online summits, and that those are great ways to, again, partner with other people. And I have a whole list of them. In fact, inside of this or on the back side of this presentation today, where Sarah's going to pull all these lovely resources together for all the speakers, you'll have an opportunity to download something that I've created specifically for you, which is 12 organic ways to position your expertise. So if you want to dive deeper into those strategies, I'll be happy to, or I'm sure Sarah is going to make sure that the information on that and how you can access that is going to be inside of this portal where you're accessing the summit. Okay. So as we're thinking about monetizing our message for the new year and creating more impact with it, here are 5 pillars that we're going to need to think about as it relates to positioning your expertise on a deeper level. And so right now, we got to come up with your plan. So Sarah is all about planning. She is the queen of planning. And so I'm sure that if you've been inside of her ecosystem, you know a thing or two about how to plan. But as it relates to monetizing your message and creating more impact with it, here are some things that you want to think about. What is your monthly presentation plan? So what are the things that you're doing on a monthly basis to position your opportunities, your offers in front of your ideal customers? Are you making X amount of sales calls? Are you aligning yourself with 2 to 4 podcast hosts a month that are already talking marketing to your ideal customers? do you have a plan around how many presentations you're making? Now, when I say presentation, I don't necessarily mean these types of presentations, but those count. And so if you can come up with a game plan around how many monthly presentations you're making around your offer, around your expertise, around how you're going to make impact and change with your work, then that's a good place to start. And so it's the reason why you want to do this is because you're now going to be more focused on the activities that you need to do to accomplish this goal. So by being on the summit today, I know that there's a good possibility that I'm going to have a conversation with you. There could be, right? Maybe not, but there's a good possibility that we're going to connect on some level. And it's not necessarily my job to sell you on something, but is there another way that I can present an opportunity, a way that's going to help you get better at whatever it is that you're doing? Probably. And so you got to be thinking about that impact that you're making, that ripple effect, that if you're making one presentation here, there's a good chance that that's going to lead to other opportunities on down the road. So it's going to make you focused on what you've got to do as it relates to hitting that goal. Now, here's what you'll want to consider as it relates to making your presentation, your monthly presentation plan. You've got to decide how many speaking opportunities that you want on a monthly basis. And when I say speaking opportunities, that could mean in this context, it could be that I'm going to be, for example, I'm going to speak on 2 or 3 podcast interviews a month. Okay, that was one example of that. Another speaking opportunity could be I plan to be on it's giving 2 speaking opportunity presentations at my local chamber event and something else, right? So another association. So come up with that goal. And then what are you presenting about? So is there something about your expertise that is a quick win for somebody, or that is really juicy, is something that people really want to hear, or it's something that people need to know before they invest on a deeper level with you? So think about what you got to do to present. Like, what is that thing you're presenting on? Who can help you get there? So don't just assume that your internal power is going to be enough to get you there. I find that the best way to land more presentations is to engage in more conversations, more one-on-one conversations. And so if I'm chatting with Sarah, for instance, well, guess what? There could be some opportunities to where I can help her align with other presentations and vice versa. And so if you're having those one-on-one conversations, it will help you think about your bigger goals because you're talking about them and you're getting other people involved in that process. So identify who are those people that can help you. And then how are you going to position yourself for those opportunities? So what are some other things that you could be doing behind the scenes? And this will make more sense as we talk today, but how are you going to show up in terms of your content creation? So I can't just rely on one-on-one conversations to do it myself, right? One-on-one conversations will help, but what's nice is I create content. I have a podcast, I have videos. I don't do so much blogging anymore. I used to back in the day, but really video and audio are kind of my 2 things. And so I let those tools, because they run on social media and they live on my website, I let those tools speak for me when I'm not physically present with somebody. So think about how you're going to position yourself and land more of those opportunities. Okay. So let's talk about monetization from your presentation standpoint. So this is actually we could go down a big rabbit hole today with this, and I'm not going to have a lot of time to go into all the ways that we can refine our presentation, but what I can share with you today, and hopefully this is going to give you enough to at least get your wheels cranking, is your presentation. So who is it for? When you're presenting an offer or your talk, do you know your audience? Are you crystal clear about who that audience is? I love helping small businesses and entrepreneurs get clarity on what they're saying and how to position that in front of their audience. I'm very clear about who that is, who I can help with that, right? Although I have experience in corporate brands, I don't necessarily like corporate brands. I can help them, but is it somebody that I really have a passion to help? In a lot of ways, they have multi-million-dollar marketing budgets that they can actually go house all of that internally. And so they're probably not looking for somebody like me. And so I want to be very clear on who I'm pitching myself to, who I'm presenting to, who I'm getting in front of, because that is where I'm going to land future opportunities on down the road. If I'm only pitching to corporate clients, which is not my like where I want to be, then my message is going to fall flat. It's not going to necessarily land where I need them to land. Okay. So who's your presentation for? Who already has an audience of these people? Now, this is where the magic happens, my friend, because when you start thinking about strategic partners, so if you start thinking about 3 to 5 industries that are ideally aligned with you as your industry. And so I'm going to use my husband for a moment because he's got a great example of industry partners. So my husband's an insurance agent. And so if we were thinking about his insurance agency and the things that he does, on the surface, a good strategic partner for him is going to generally be a realtor, a CPA, perhaps maybe an attorney, financial wealth advisor. So these are 4 industries that are already talking and marketing to my husband's ideal customer. And so if he can be friends with the realtor or the CPA or the attorney or the financial wealth advisor, now all of a sudden, because he's friends with them, and when those other people, those other industry professionals have a client that needs insurance, if Ed is becoming besties, my husband's name is Ed, if Ed has built that relationship and has become besties with those industries, who do you think those industry referral partners are going to be thinking of when their clients are screaming, I need help with my insurance? So you, my friend, can think about that same example. Think about who's already talking and marketing to your ideal customer, building relationships with them, understanding if there's industries that already have podcasts or speaking opportunities, or they've already created some sort of stage. How can the two of you align to serve each other's audiences? So that's another thing to be thinking about as your presentation. This gives you, and the reason why you want to be thinking about all of this is because this is going to give you clarity on who you need to get in front of, and it sets you up for a greater return on your investment. Because now, instead of you going out there pounding the pavement to generate sales to 100 clients, let's say, all by yourself, if you could go find 5 industry professionals who are already talking and marketing to 20 of your ideal customers, you're still going to get the 100 customers, right? But now you're getting 5 people to refer you 20 customers versus you trying to go out there and procure those 100 customers in this example. Now that may not be applicable to you. It might be exactly what you need to hear today. But for the quick and simple math of that, I wanted to give you that scenario. Instead of you going out and seeking those 100 customers yourself, now you can rely on the efforts of 5 industry professionals who are already talking and marketing to your ideal customer, and let them drive more referrals your way, so you're not working quite as hard. Okay, now what you want to consider as it relates to your presentation is what topic will logically lead an audience to learn more about your work. So I always like to give this example because for a lot of my passionate entrepreneurs out there, business owners that have a lot of things that they could talk about, it would be really tempting for somebody who has built their business. So let's just say that you're an online coach. It would be really tempting to as a business coach, let's just say, I would classify myself as a business consultant. I've done some coaching, but I'm more on the consulting side of things now. But if you were a business coach, it would be really tempting to perhaps speak on something that was somewhat related to your journey, but has nothing to do with your offer. But it helped you get there. And I love that. However, is your whatever it is that you had to overcome to get to where you are today, if you build a whole presentation on that topic, but it has nothing to do with your business coaching offer, when you finally come to the time where you're talking to your audience and now trying to get them to switch gears and think about your coaching offer, there's going to be disconnect. So you want to be sure that whatever you're talking about is, let me give you a better example of this. So I am a triathlete. And so I did an Ironman competition. So I have, if you don't know what that is, it's a 2.4-mile swim followed by a 112-mile bike ride followed by a full marathon. And now if I did a whole presentation at a local chamber of commerce, let's say, and I talked about my entire Ironman journey. And I filled it in, and we talked about the steps on how to become an Ironman and what you're going to do to train and all that. But then I came to you and I said, okay, and now I want to talk to you about now you could go download my free gift on how to position your expertise organically. It's not going to make sense, right? Because there's two different topics. And so what I want you to think about is what is the thing that you're offering? And I think about it this way. If your end result is to get them into a done for you service, then I want you to speak on the thing that is going to logically lead them to that pathway. It's not going to be doing some sort of physical fitness thing if it has nothing to do with your service in my example, right? So be sure that it's aligned with the things that you're going to do to generate sales, because that, my friend, will help you take what you're doing in terms of your message, and it's more aligned that when people are ready to purchase and make that investment, they're thinking of you when they are in that position. Okay. Let's talk about the third pillar on my list today to monetize your message. And that's the people and the partners that you're going to need in order to help you with this stuff. So what this means is that there are people that are strategically aligned with you. We talked about this earlier. And they have a similar mission, vision, and purpose on this planet. Maybe they're not doing the exact same thing. We talked about my husband's example with the insurance bit. He's an insurance agent, but there's like 4 or 5 industries that are related to his they're all talking to the same people. So you, my friend, need to think about who's already strategically aligned with your ideal customer. We talked about that in the last bit, but this is so important because every opportunity that you want is on the side of a conversation, on the other side, I should say, of a conversation. So you might be thinking, dreaming, scheming, planning some opportunities to elevate your expertise. But if you're not talking to people or engaging in conversations, the likelihood of that idea coming together or you implementing that goal is probably going to go by the wayside really quickly because there isn't enough people, there isn't enough manpower behind your dream and your opportunity. So think about those people, not just the industry professionals. We talked great detail about that in the last pillar, but now think about the people that are telling you you can do it, that are willing to cheer you on, that are saying, gosh, that is so awesome. I've never done that, but here I know somebody that actually has done that, and I want to connect you with them. You don't want to be around the Debbie Downers. You don't want to be around the people that are going to tell you you can't. That's a terrible idea. Why would you even think about doing that? That's so dumb, right? How many of you in that situation? You've been in that situation where in 2022, maybe at the beginning of the year, you were gung ho, but then somebody in your circle told you you couldn't. Well, where are you at with that goal? Did you proceed moving forward? Did you find other people that were going to help you with it? Or did you let that Debbie Downer or that negative naysayer tell you that you can't, and it made you stop pursuing that goal? So I want you to make a commitment that you are surrounding yourself with people that are telling you, hell yes, you can do that. I'm so fired up. I want to help you get there. Because that is the energy. Maybe they can't do anything to become your client, but can they refer you an opportunity to get in front of more of your ideal clients? Maybe can you do that for them? And that's the other part of this. I want you to be that for other people. So this can't be like you don't have to like create this tit for tat, but just make sure that you are aligning yourself with people that you're going to be a good steward of good energy for, that they're going to be a great vessel for you. And you'll be able to kick ass, collaborate, do some amazing things in this upcoming year together. So be really particular about who you're surrounding yourself with and who you're inviting into your partnerships. The other piece of this, and in terms of consideration, actually, I'm gonna stop it right there because I feel like if we keep going down that primrose path, we could open up another can of worms. So I'll just leave it at that. Okay, let's talk about the fourth pillar as it relates to monetizing your message, and that's positioning. So are your promotional assets together? Now, the sad reality is that you're probably thinking to yourself right now, what is a promotional asset? Now, if you do know what that is and you don't have that together, I'm going to give you some food for thought as it relates to helping you get your assets ready. So what do I mean by this? Well, these are things like your short professional bio. So if when Sarah invited me to speak today, one of the things that I already had on my notes app on my phone, and this is something you can have on your notes app. You don't need a fancy software. You don't need a profile sheet. You don't need massive, scary technology to do this. It's literally a notes app or like a document on your computer that you can put these things. A short professional bio. And when I mean short, I mean a 40 to 60 word bio of who you are, what you're all about, and who you help. More importantly, who you help, like what you help them with, and then how do you do that? Okay. Number two, on your promotional assets, notes app, or your document, you're going to want to make sure that you have all your digital links. So this includes your website. If you have some sort of downloadable guide that people have to opt in to your email list for, have that link at the ready. Have your social media links together. I don't know how many times as an event organizer myself, as a podcast host myself, where I need links. I need to store those links on my own digital assets. And so when somebody just gives me their social media handle, I now have to go and seek out that social media profile and find that link to that person. So just make everybody's life simpler. Have your links to your social media profiles, not just your handles, but your links saved on your notes app. So when these event organizers, when somebody's inviting you to speak, or they want to partner with you in another capacity and they need that information, you can just go ahead and copy and paste that information right into the form. You're also going to want to have things like your high resolution headshot. So something that is promotional, that puts you in the best light and makes you look legit as a professional. And so you want to have access to that so that you could submit that when it's appropriate. If it's applicable, any topic ideas. So if you're presenting on a virtual summit or an in-person speaking opportunity, they're going to want to ask you, what's the title of your presentation and what will people learn from that presentation? So if you can have, now you don't have to have 10 topics. I used to tell people, like back in the day when I used to train people on this in this way, I used to tell people, yeah, sure, you could have 5 to 7 topics. That's fine. Well, what does that do for you as an entrepreneur or as a business owner? It bogs you down with stuff that isn't necessarily going to lead your customer to your ideal offer. And so you got to be thinking about what is the 1 or 2 tops presentations that are going to logically lead my customer or that audience to be a customer one day. And so you have to think about that. You don't have to have 5 to 7 presentations. Have 1 or 2 on your notes app or on your Word document. And what are the key learnings that audience is going to take away from your presentation? And then, be sure that you are, let's see what else. Oh, this is actually another important one to have too. So if you're being interviewed for a publication or a television spot or even on a podcast, have a few questions that the host of that event or that media publication, if they're interviewing you, have a few questions that they can ask you that are going to, again, lead you to talk about the things that are going to logically lead to your offer. Okay. So have that at the ready. Some people will come up with their own questions and that's okay, but you want to be sure that if they need that, you're at the ready and you can submit that. And I just had it happen to me the other day. I was filling out an application. Actually, my team members were filling out an application on my behalf, and they were like, Erica, this is the strangest thing. It's been a while since anybody's asked us to submit questions, but here we are submitting questions. So it does come up from time to time. So be ready for it. Okay. At the bottom line is that you, my friend, when you have these assets together, these promotional assets together, you're not as likely to procrastinate on the things that you're needing to do to put yourself out there, to monetize your message. So if we know that there's a really juicy speaking opportunity we want to apply for, and we're ready or we're not ready, what's going to happen to the process of that application getting processed? It's probably not going to happen if you're not ready, if you're not feeling ready. But if you know that you have all your assets together and all you had to do is just copy and paste, make a few tweaks to things to make it applicable to that thing that you're applying for, then it makes it a lot easier for you to go in and apply for those opportunities. Okay, so let's talk about placement. So as it relates, I know we were talking a lot about the plan, so what is your presentation plan? What is your presentation all about? Who are those people that are going to help you get there? And then how are you positioning yourself as the authority in that space? But I want to wrap things up today by talking about your own placement. So, what are you doing to position yourself for these opportunities? So, are you engaging in one-on-one conversations on a daily basis with strategic partners? Now, I don't think you have to be on the phone all day long or on a Zoom conference to talk to people all day long. That could get really tedious. But could you spend one day a week, even making yourself available for people like collaboration chats? Could you just simply open up your calendar for a few hours, wherever it's applicable for you, consistently, so that you can invite those conversations into your world, that you can explore ways that you can collaborate with other people? Also, from a content creation standpoint, are you podcasting or blogging or creating video content that you're sharing on your own platform? You're not relying on anybody else, but you're creating it on your own social media profiles. You're providing it on your own website. You want to be sure that those assets, your digital assets, are a 24/7 sales page for you, essentially, right? And I don't mean sales in like a hard selling kind of a way, but at least when somebody lands on your website and they hear your podcast or they watch that video or they read that blog that you just published, they know what you're all about. They know a little bit more about how you can help them, the reader or that audience, get to solving their problems. And so they don't have to jump on a phone call with you to do that. They can read what you've written, or they can listen to your video or your podcast episode where you've talked about these things that are really plaguing them right now, that are overwhelming them right now. So letting these assets, your own assets, be your voice when you're not physically present. That's a great way to place yourself. So this also gives you the appearance that you're everywhere when you don't really have to be. So one of the things that I love about my podcast is, and this is something we're going to be shifting for 2023, but I love the fact that we can create not just an audio file, but we can also create a video file. And so it's a great way for me to take one piece of content and repurpose it, whether it's just somebody listening to the audio or they're watching me and getting my expressions and getting that experience because they're very visual people. And so when you have that opportunity, it keeps you top of mind, because then you can like repurpose. You don't have to be, I could take that one podcast and I can share it on social media. It's already on my website, but I can share snippets of that on my social media channels. I can also introduce my podcast through my speaking opportunities and some other things. I can pull in specific episodes where, like, if I'm talking on a presentation, I can invite people to go back to a particular episode and say, hey, go check out XYZ episode on this very topic. So it's a great way to create this omnipresence about your brand without you having to be in all the things. And again, you're repurposing your content when you do that. Okay. So just to recap what we talked about today as it relates to monetizing your message, I wanted to give you the framework and some foundational principles to be thinking about when you're monetizing your message into 2023. You're already, I would imagine, if you're watching this right now, you're already doing things that are helping you monetize your message. But now we got to think a little more strategically in terms of your plan. So how many presentations are you doing? I want to recap these really quick. How many presentations are you doing on a monthly basis? Get really clear on that, so that when you are going out there and thinking about your sales and marketing goals, you now have tied in your presentation goals as well. Your presentations, let's button those up. What do you have to say to your audience today in order for them to start thinking about or considering your offers in the future? I got to tell you that most people aren't in a position to buy right now. They, statistically speaking, if you walk into a room full of 100 people, only 2 of those people are ready to buy what you have to offer. And now you got to go find those 2 people. So instead of you trying to go out there and find all of those people, or find those 2 people, I should say, like this needle in a haystack, go be friends with people or go talk and make presentations and position yourself and your expertise on a consistent basis so that when people are ready to buy, they're coming to you. Going back to people and partnerships. So making sure that not only are you talking and marketing to people that are strategically aligned with you, so making sure that your network is full of industry professionals that are similar to your industry so that you can all share and collaborate, share referrals and collaborate on opportunities. But you also want to make sure that you're inviting people that have a positive outlook on life, that they're not telling you, no way, that's a silly idea. They're cheering you on, and they're better yet, they're connecting you with people that can help you in your goals. My mentor, he's actually it was a while back, but there was this abbreviation from a Napoleon Hill quote, and I'm going to butcher it, but for the sake of butchering it and just to give you the essence of it, I'm going to share with you what this mentor of mine shared with me so many years ago. And she said, "Isn't it amazing that when a man or a woman steps up in her presence or steps up in her purpose, it's amazing how the world steps aside and then comes beside to help them in their ways." So in this case, if you just said, "I'm going to do this," and I started talking to people, or you started talking to people about the things that you want to do, it's amazing what the world will do to kind of part ways with the stuff that doesn't make sense, that doesn't matter in your world. It's amazing how a lot of that will go by the wayside, and then the right things will come beside you to help you in your way. So think about that as it relates to your own people goal and who you need to surround yourself with, because if your goal again is to monetize and to make a bigger impact with your message, the right people on the bus or the boat are going to help you with that. Positioning, I want to just recap that really quick. So what are you doing to create this positioning of your own assets, your bio, your social media links, your digital links, your website, your offers, what you speak on, the things that are going to make you look like you're the bomb.com, which we already know you are. So you just want to be sure that you have that somewhere saved on a notes app or on a document on your computer, that anytime somebody is asking you to be a speaker for their event or be a guest on their podcast, that you can apply for that opportunity, because everything that you need to make that application happen is right there on your notes app. And then finally, making sure that you are doing what you need to do to place yourself in front of more opportunities beyond just having one-on-one conversations. So are you taking the time to create your own videos, your own podcasts, your own blogs? You don't have to do all three. I promise you, you don't have to do all three. I would pick one, and I would make a weekly commitment, at least a weekly commitment, to position yourself on your own platforms so that that platform can help to your talking. They can be your like megaphone when you're not in front of other people. So let that be your own placement, create your own stage. One more little thing about placement. So something that gets overlooked a lot of times is the fact that when we're creating content, we don't necessarily have to create content like in the sense of coming up with fresh ideas all the time. We can take like things that we typically talk about and we could just run that on repeat. But another thing about placement, and this is again the thing that gets overlooked, is that if you have your strategic partners in line and you want to give them a shout out or you want to edify, like in a lot of ways, I'm going to help Sarah promote this event, right? Because my audience is going to surely benefit from this really cool thing that Sarah is creating. And so if you can create shout outs for your peeps, people that you know, like, and trust, you don't even have to write the content. All you have to do is just share what other people in your circle of influence are doing. Before you know it, you're going to look like the go-to resource because you're sharing lots of valuable tips and information and people that your circle of influence needs to know. So this is also a great way to add some extra credibility to what you do without having to come up with your own content. Okay. So we covered a lot in a short amount of time. I do want to wrap it up today with this parting gift with you. So if you were thinking about how to elevate your presence in a bolder way in 2023, one of the things that I've created for you is this guide. It's called the 12 Organic Ways to Position Your Expertise. Now, some of the stuff that we covered in here is plucked right out of the guide, but there's some other juicy little tidbits in there that I wasn't able to share with you today given the time and the consideration for your time as well. So if you want to dive deeper into some of those tips and those strategies, be sure to find where Sarah is creating all of these awesome resources for this summit. She's got all of that information linked, but if you are having trouble finding that link, you can just simply head on over to ericacastner.com/toolkit. That's ericacastner.com/toolkit. And that is where you can go and put in your name and email, and I will then give you access to the 12 ways to position your expertise. You're going to love the guide, especially if you loved what we talked about here today. Okay. That's it, my friend. I just want to end on this note. You are magnificent. What you have to share is worth sharing. If you don't show up, who misses out on the awesomeness that you bring to this world? So be sure that if you are committed to making more of an impact with your message, if you want to boost sales with the things that you're already doing in your expertise, it requires you to show up. And I know you've got the goods. You're watching this. You're still with me at this point. You're in it to win it. You're committed to being persistent with this stuff because it does take a little bit of persistence, but I know you can handle it. And your audience is going to be thanking you for it, because on the other side of it, even if you're feeling scared or even if you're feeling overwhelmed with what you've got to do to increase your visibility, your audience is going to thank you when you make that commitment to not only yourself, but to them, to show up, to make a bigger impact with the work that you do. So I know you've got this. Be that conduit for greatness. I know it's in you, so just stay with it. It'll get tough. And, if you download that guide, if you download the ericacastner.com/toolkit guide, I know we'll be staying in touch because now you'll be on my email list. You'll be within my ecosystem. And so there'll be ways throughout the year that we can connect, whether it's through free classes that we'll be doing, maybe some paid workshops that we'll be doing throughout the year. There'll be plenty of opportunities for us to connect. Of course, you can also connect with me on all of my social media platforms, which I'm sure Sarah is going to provide for you somewhere inside of this portal. So with that said, I just appreciate you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to watch this presentation on how you can monetize your message and make more of an impact with the things that you do in 2023. I'm so proud of you. Congratulations. Keep after it. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you create in 2023. You rock, my friend.